This is how I shot and lit these 3 different night car scenes. I got 3 reference images from 3 different movies, and I will do my best to recreate these as best I can with the most minimal lighting setups. Looking at this shot, I can see my main sources of light. We have a strong green light shining on the car from the outside, highlighting the rain and the windows. Then a soft warm light coming from the front window. Now, I don't have the ability to shine straight up green light, so I'm just gonna have to use my CTB gel, which is a blue gel, and use the help of color grading to change it to a green hue in post. For this, I will need my Amaran 200D with a CTB gel, my Amaran 60XS, which is a bicolor light with some soft diffusion, and a little RGB light, and also a hose to shower some water on the car. Firstly, I duct taped the gel to the cone of my daylight balance light, the 200D, then set it up next to the side of the car and I put it at a higher angle, trying to emulate some sort of street light. Already, it's starting to create some dramatic shape inside. Next was to get a soft glow of warm light on the actor's face. For this, I brought out my bicolor light, the 60XS, with a lantern for some diffusion. I set it up straight in front of the car and set it to 2700 Kelvin for that really warm tone. And that is looking pretty solid to me. But I think it's missing a little bit of backlight when comparing it to the original shot. So I crammed myself into the back of the car and clamped a little RGB light onto the back seat, just to the same sort of blue hue to help light the back of the head. Looking at the original shot though, they don't really have headrests on the seats, so the light can directly light the back of the actor. In my case, it was kind of being blocked and I couldn't remove the headrest, so it is what it is. As for the camera setup, it was pretty simple, sat on a tripod, shooting through the open door on a 35mm. With the help of hosing the car and some color grading, here is the shot. This one, I tried to keep really simple. 2 light sources using just 2 little RGB lights, so very budget friendly. In the background, I don't know exactly what's going on there in terms of the context of the scene, but there are some blue and red lights, which I believe to be police lights. So I clamped my RGB light to a stand in front of the car window and set it to the cop car lighting effect so it would flash those red and blue lights. I can see the actor in the shot is being lit pretty flat and straight front on, so I shoved my little RGB light right in front of the dash on a slightly warm 3200 color temperature. For the camera setup, I squeezed myself right into the back seat and went handheld on a tighter 50mm lens, focusing on the mirror. And this is the result. Looking at this shot, there's obviously a very distinct, sharp line of light casting across our eyes. So immediately, I knew I needed to use my spotlight fixture on my Amaran 60XS. And I'll be using my 200D with a CTO gel, which is an orange gel, and 1 RGB light. I set the 60XS to 3200 Kelvin for that warm color, and then started cutting and blurring the light beam to try and replicate that original shot. Once that felt pretty good, I set up a backlight using the 200D and the CTO gel shining through that rear window. Unfortunately, the window was a bit tinted, so it kind of turned the orange light into more of like a lighter green hue, but it's starting to look good, starting to take shape. But I feel like it needs a bit more light on the front to bring up the levels of the car. So I just set up my RGB light again on 3200 Kelvin outside the car just to help bring up a bit of detail. And as for the camera setup, I couldn't quite get the same angle as the original shot as I was limited by the door opening, so this is the best I could get. I found this experiment really fun, extremely helpful, using limited lighting gear to try and replicate these movie shots. I feel like doing this sort of stuff is a great way to level up your skills and understand how to set up your own scenes. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
All I remember was the color red.
I didn't want it to end like this.
Your legacy starts now if you get up.